Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm out here in the garage just kind of, cleaning up and recovering after a long Thanksgiving week. Had a great time with family, picked up a cold at the Discovery Museum down in Chattanooga, but we had a great time. And yeah, I feel a little hungover from all the festivities, but walked out here into the garage because we got some real cold weather. We had 22 degrees last night, and it's only going to get worse, obviously, as we get further and further into winter. And I noticed I forgot to bring in my box of bulk spools that I carry with me on the road, which is very important. I want to make sure that that box stays fairly consistent as far as temperature, just, because bulk spools, I may not use all the line on a bulk spool within a calendar year. And so, yeah, just making sure that you don't have those temperature changes that can compromise that line is super important. But that got me thinking about another thing that, I think is really important to talk about this time of year is the fact that, fluorocarbon line is the most popular bass fishing line, category line out there right now. I think, at least for me, I use fluorocarbon way more than any other category, monofilament or braid, depending on where I'm at. If I'm in Florida, I use more braid. But anyways, fluorocarbon is awesome. It's got just the right amount of stretch. It's nearly invisible to fish. It's got a lot of abrasion resistance. And it also sinks. And all those things combined make it a really great line choice for most bass fishing applications, right? However, I will say, and this goes for any nylon line, but specifically fluorocarbon, you need to be careful about using the same size line during the wintertime. And in general, the biggest thing that I can tell you guys is I like to upsize my line during the wintertime for most applications. Now, if you're using spinning gear and you're fishing open water and things like that, you can really just manipulate your drag, loosen up on your drag, and you're not going to have as much issue. But if you're doing something where, like fishing a jig on the bottom or, anything where it's a high impact type of situation where you're reeling down and setting the hook pretty hard, you want to use heavier line during this time of year. That's my opinion, because what happens is no matter how good your fluorocarbon is, and the more high quality the fluorocarbon is, it's definitely better. But when you're fishing on a really cold day, okay, so below 32, so below freezing, fluorocarbon starts to get more brittle than some of the other types of line. It gets real hard, and you can have more breakoffs. It doesn't matter what brand or style it is. It's just more prevalent during the colder days. And so, and also, a lot of times our guides are going to be freezing up, which is another reason why you should put like silicone spray or even WD-40, some people use, on your guides to reduce that kind of freezing. But it's just a really good idea to upsize your line during the winter months when it's really cold, when it's below freezing. And another thing about fluorocarbon, a lot of times, when it gets really cold, I generally like to use lines like, Red Label and Abrazex and things like that, because I'm doing high impact type of, fishing scenarios. But this line right here, Invisex, and also Tatsu, those are both well designed for, they're both designed to have a more soft and supple, structure. And so they actually do very well compared to other fluorocarbons in the cold weather. So they tend to be less wiry, and they tend to get less stiff during this time of year. So that's just something else to think about. And Invisex is one that I actually use a lot for moving baits because of that extra action it kind of allows the bait to have, because it's not as stiff as other lines. So anyways, guys, I guess the whole video is about this time of year. Definitely think about the type of line that you're using. I say upsize your line, especially if you're using baits that are bouncing against the bottom, because the wintertime is a tough time of year on your fluorocarbon lines or nylon lines in general. You know, moving baits like crankbaits and jerk baits and things like that, not as big of a deal because you're not hammering those fish real hard. But things where you're dropping the rod tip, taking the slack out, and then just hammering it home, those type of techniques, you definitely need to upsize your fluorocarbon line. So anyways, kind of a PSA video for you guys today, something to think about. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Spend it with friends and family, and man, I'm gonna get back to it. I'm gonna nurse this cold a little bit. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. I'm gonna see you out on the water. Make sure you trust the process.